Welcome in from wherever you are calling in from. We're so happy to host these morning sessions and to kind of open up our practice and share it with people. And of course, drinking tea with other people is at the heart of what's so wonderful about sharing tea and the way of tea. Um, it's such a wonderful gift to offer to people. It's such a pure gift. There are no strings attached. It's simple and heartfelt, and I think the medicine of the tea also communicates directly to people, so we say to the Shen. So there's a term in Mandarin called Qing Xin, which means clear heart. And it's a clear heart is able to give gifts without any strings attached or without any hidden motives or unclear intentions. And the giving of tea as a gift, as an offering, is a really profound and wonderful way to cultivate clarity of heart. And of course, when you couple that with meditation, you've got the power combination. So this is just a really wonderful offering, and I greatly appreciate all of you coming. I've known for over 20 years, really something that's very central to my purpose is sharing meditation and tea as a practice and a way of life. So without anybody else to share with, I'm just a guy hanging out in the mountains drinking tea and meditating. So thank you so much for coming and joining us. These sessions mean as much to us, I think, as they do to all of you. Hopefully they mean something to you. So the morning sessions we're hosting every week, and really the intention is in the middle of the week to have a drop-in point where maybe your meditation's a little bit longer or your tea practice is a little bit deeper, or at least it's deeper by virtue of being connected to other people, even if it's in this virtual space. Whereas the Saturday night sessions are intended to be more lively and open to discussion and conversation and questions. And so I'm going to limit how much I say in these morning sessions and really try to cultivate more of a space of stillness and presence and peace. The world, as all of you have probably noticed, is a pretty loud place at the moment. There's a whole lot of opinions, and we kind of live in this post-truth world where nobody quite knows who to trust or what's true or what have you. So cultivating that clear heart, cultivating deeper relationship to one's intuition and awareness of their own being. And I always say the body doesn't lie and the body doesn't time travel, because if your awareness is connected to your body, then you're here in the moment, because your body can't be somewhere else at a different time. And it doesn't lie because, if you touch heat, it's going to let you know that you need to retract yourself from it or something. It's the same thing with intuition or with a deeper somatic awareness. We are cultivating a capacity to discern truth for ourselves instead of from the mess of opinions that's floating around in our head, especially at a time when there's just so much information. We're just inundated with so much information. So cultivating concentration, focus, and somatic awareness, I think, is absolutely essential in the reality we find ourselves in at this time. So hopefully we can help facilitate that through the meditation. The meditations that I really am well versed in are Vipassana, which is in the Theravadan Buddhist tradition, and Zen meditation, but also quite a bit of Taoist studies, because I practiced traditional Chinese medicine and was very interested in that side of the medicine. And I've done a lot of studies in the Hermetic tradition, which is working with the 4 elements, which I'm going to incorporate a bit into today's meditation, and the Gurdjieff work. So if you're familiar with any of those, you might recognize some flavor from those different traditions. I try not to jumble different practices too much, because I think there's power in the purity of a specific lineage or practice. but some of them work together really beautifully, like the Vipassana practices with some of the Taoist practices, for example. So I'm happy to answer more about any of that after all of this, if you're interested. And the last thing I'll say is that I'm riding solo this morning, so I don't have any help, and I'm totally technologically deficient. So if you write questions in the comments, I don't know that I'll see them very easily. So after the meditation, if you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome, but you'll have to unmute yourself and then ask. The other thing is I'm not going to play any music, because I was told that when we're drinking tea, if I'm playing music, it comes through really poorly, the sound on that end. So of course, if you're accustomed to listening to music while you drink tea, then just mute yourself. We're gonna do 3 bowls in silence, and oftentimes in the morning I sit for more than 3 bowls, but when you're just having a practice of 3 bowls, really the intention is to cultivate sustained attention. So it's working with the tactile sensory experience, but it's also with trying to be mindful such that the body and mind are working as one. This is the same in Tai Chi, Qigong, martial arts, yoga, any of the mindfulness-based movement practices. Tea is also in that category, in that you're cultivating a second attention, or an attention that is always aware of yourself while also being aware of what you're doing, and over time also aware of those who are with you. So like Thich Nhat Hanh talks about deep listening. At the heart of this concept of deep listening is the ability to be very still internally. Generally our minds are quite cluttered because life in the year 2021 is quite cluttered. So with the 3 bowls, the practice there is maybe setting an intention for the day, and you can try to hold that intention throughout all 3 bowls. Or it can just be to cultivate a mindful practice of tea just for 3 bowls, and to sustain that attention as a segue into seated meditation. So we did a previous video where I went into some of the different 3 bowl practices, which we will put up on the website in the next probably week or so. So I'll send a newsletter out when we do that. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy some space here together. And again, thank you so much for coming. And I hope everybody's doing well out there. maybe wherever you are in your three-bowl process, start to finish up, and we'll go into the meditation in the next couple of minutes. So you can start to adjust your position, seated position. Ideally seated on the floor on a zafu and a zabatan, which are a larger pillow and then a smaller pillow that props your butt up a little bit. You ideally really want your legs like this so that your shins are lying flat on the earth and the outside of the knees are on the outside of the earth. A next level from that would be 1 foot up in lotus position or half lotus, but I find that kind of skews your weight to the side a bit. If you're very flexible, you can sit in full lotus with both feet up. That's really the ideal position for really long meditation, but it's difficult to comfortably sit that way unless you have a serious seated practice every day. The most important thing in meditation isn't necessarily that you sit for a very long time every day, but that you're consistent. I mean, like anything, consistency is key. And even if you have 5 or 10 minutes every day, that's better than sitting for an hour once a week. And if you can't sit for 5 minutes a day, then the issue isn't that you don't have time. The issue is that there's something in you resisting the meditation. So that's something to look at. And again, it's really helpful to pair tea and meditation together because we often want a warm drink in the morning as we're waking up. And depending on the type of tea you're drinking, it starts to move stagnant energy from the night through your body. It awakens the mind, it opens up the body, and it can be helpful as a segue into meditation. The challenge people often find is they start drinking tea and they're enjoying the experience so much that they end up sitting and drinking tea for an hour and then they're like, oh, I gotta go. And I'm sure nobody here has had that experience, but so having some kind of boundaries around like, okay, I'm gonna sit for this long for tea and then meditate, or what I actually do typically nowadays, I meditate first and then I drink tea because for me, meditation's primary. It's fundamental and necessary every day. And I wanna make sure that if distractions happen, I have a 9-month-old son, so you never know what's gonna happen. I want to make sure that first thing in the morning that's something that I prioritize. So, and people say, well, I'm too tired if I try to sit first thing. And one of the recommendations you find in different traditions is to use a nylon brush and do a quick skin brush in the morning. It opens the pores of the body. and it moves stagnant chi, and you can go in the direction of the meridians. Like if you just have a little, you can even print something off the internet, the direction the meridians flow. It awakens all the chi in the body. And then it also opens the pores, which in some traditions, which we're going to do a little bit of it today, the practice of pore breathing is a powerful way to cultivate relationship, to cultivate the elements. So doing a quick nylon brushing and then a cold shower for like 30 seconds, that is incredibly beneficial for multiple reasons, but also to wake you up so that you can meditate first thing without falling asleep or being really groggy. So my recommendation to people is to meditate first and then segue that into tea. And then there's not this feeling of tension of like, I want to sit and drink tea longer, but I know I should meditate. And it sort of helps me personally prioritize. So again, we're drinking tea and then meditating, but I found in my personal practice of sitting every day for a lot of years that I prefer meditate first and then segue that into tea. So find your way into this seated position, and you want to roll forward on your pelvic bone so that your spine is very straight. In a lot of Zen practices, they'll just put you in the posture, walk you through it, and then say, now just sit and observe the mind. And Zazen means just sit. And I think there's a lot of value in just sitting, but it's quite difficult to just observe the mind or to just sit. I find that having some preliminary practices leading up to that helps a lot to enter into the state where you can just sit in stillness. So find your way into this posture, and then we're going to start the meditation. So the left hand sits on top of the right hand, and the thumbs curl over the top, and they just touch barely, as if you could slide a piece of paper between the thumbs. This is called the Dhyana Mudra. This, when you sit like this, if the hands are really vertical, can be slightly uncomfortable in the shoulders, but there's a reason for that, because it pushes the chest forward and opens the back a bit. And by being slightly uncomfortable, it keeps you attentive. You're more awake and more aware. If you start to kind of like lounge, then the mind wanders. If you're seated in a more disciplined position with the spine straight, you can focus and bring your concentration to a single point. So allow your eyes to close. Tuck the chin. The tip of the tongue can touch the roof of the mouth where the roof meets the teeth on the top. The teeth are gently touching. And we'll start with 3 deep breaths. Just letting go of any tension in the body. Feeling the lungs filling with fresh air, the diaphragm rising and falling, the belly expanding, contracting, starting to feel the rhythm of the body, how it's very alive. heart beating, the shoulders rising and falling with the breath. Allowing your attention to gather at the top of your head. And let it drift like a blanket falling over you from the top of the head, along the scalp and down the face, observing any areas of tightness, tension, contraction, and using the breath to relax that area. Feeling a smile around the eyes, releasing any tension in the jaw, keeping the breath deep and steady down into the shoulders, and just moving at your own pace all the way down to the feet, relaxing any areas of tension, contraction in the body. For a couple minutes, we'll just scan the body, allowing any areas that are tight to release, and using the breath to open. Noticing if you can relax without losing the posture. As you continue to scan the body, bringing awareness of your thoughts into the process. Are you fully engaged in the observation, or is the mind trying to wander off into the future or the past? Bringing the mind and the body into unison. 5 more deep breaths. And instead of scanning one area of the body, starting to bring one's attention to the whole body at once, observing the entire being from the head to the toes together. You might notice a vibration, the energy of vitality throughout your body. As you remember yourself and observe your whole body, being aware of your thoughts. Are they fast or slow, distracted? Or are they clear and present? Connecting with the movement of expansion and contraction, fullness and emptiness as we inhale and exhale. Connecting with the sensation that we are being breathed by life as much as we are doing the breathing. Beginning to draw your attention to the sensation at your nostrils of air coming in and going out. Just observing. As the mind wanders, gently invite it back to observation of the air entering and exiting through the nostrils. Staying connected to the breath. We're going to stay here for a minute or two. If you find the mind wandering too much, with each exhalation you can count 1 to 10, 10 back to 1, 1 to 10. But if you feel very focused, then you can just try to rest in empty observation of the sensation of the inhalation and exhalation. allowing the attention and concentration to grow, just observing the breath. Is it cool or warm? Is it smooth and steady or sharp, fast? Are the transitions from inhalation to exhalation round or quick? Just observing. And as the mind wanders, take 1 or 2 deep breaths and just invite it back to this observation. Calmly and slowly rolling forward on the tailbone and making sure the spine is straight, tucking the chin slightly. Feeling a golden string from the top of the head pulling upwards towards a star far above you. Pulling you upwards slightly, tugging upwards. Drawing the attention up very high. Opening the awareness. And just staying with the still point high up in the sky. And breathing there for a moment. Above all the things happening here on the surface of the planet, a place of stillness high above. With a couple breaths, drawing the attention all the way back down to the crown of the head. And breathing down with inhalations and exhalations through the center of the head. Down through the throat, swallowing, down through the heart, through the belly, the pelvis, down to the perineum, and feeling another golden thread at the bottom center of your body, all the way down to the core of the earth. Feeling the weight of your body drawing down, down, down. And resting in this place, in the core of the earth for a moment. Big inhalation, exhaling and drawing that energy back up to the perineum, to the center, bottom of your body. And another big inhalation. Exhale slowly and draw the energy up the spine. Pelvis, sacrum, up through the umbilicus, up through the back of the heart, back of the throat, back of the head, back to the crown. Feeling the crown open, bright white light around the crown. We're going to do a couple rounds of what's called the microcosmic orbit. Exhaling at the crown, and with the inhalation drawing the attention down through the center of the head, down through the throat, opening the throat, swallowing down into the heart. Inhale in the heart and hold. Feel the wish to grow. I wish to grow. Just holding the breath in the heart, allowing that wish to grow, the heart to grow. And at your capacity, exhaling 1/5 of the breath, and then inhaling back down through the heart, pulling the wish into the belly. Again, there, holding the breath in the belly, and feeling the wish to grow. I wish to grow. When you can't hold it any longer, exhaling 1/5 of the breath, and then inhaling that wish down through the sexual organs, down to the perineum, and waiting, resting there and taking some breaths. Big inhalation, exhaling along the spine up through the pelvis, up through the umbilicus and the heart, up through the throat, the center of the head, back to the crown. We're going to do 2 more rounds of that, but at your own pace. So, without losing your attention at the crown, stay there. You're going to inhale from the crown, don't do it yet, but down into the heart and hold. Exhale 1/5. Inhale the wish to grow down into the belly, hold. Affirm the wish to grow, feel it expand. Exhale 1/5. Inhale back down to the base, hold, and then exhale all the way back to the top. As you move through the psychic system, feeling each center opening and growing, feeling that wish to grow expanding through each of the centers of the body. So I'll let everybody practice for a few minutes on their own. Try to do 2 rounds from the crown to the base and back up. Beginning to move towards the completion of those rounds. Attention is settled back at the crown, just breathing there for a moment. Attention arrives back at the crown, starting again to feel the whole body breathing. Imagine that all the pores of the body are open, permeable to life, expansive, and that outside the physical body is the astral body, the mental body, feeling an expanded feeling of energy outside of your physical body that you connect with by opening through the breath, using the breath to open all the pores, imagining that all the pores of the body are breathing together. Feeling an opening, an expansion of your field of energy. Feeling it full of light and vibrancy, clarity. Almost like a cloud that grows out of the whole body, filling your whole field with bright, expansive light. Expansive and opening, clear, bright. Protective energy, nourishing energy. And for the last few minutes here, we're going to connect with the elements, maintaining this open, bright field of light around you. Feeling the physical body. First, feeling from the waist down, the legs, and the earth element, the heaviness, the weight of the physical body and the legs. The earth and its relationship to consciousness. Feeling the earth underneath you, letting go of your small mind, small consciousness, and allow for the consciousness of the earth herself, out of which we came. Feeling the weight of the body from the waist down, while opening to the consciousness of the earth. Continuing to breathe with the whole body, the pores open. and feeling the earth element, especially from the waist down, and allowing in the consciousness, the wisdom and intelligence of the earth. Deep inhale, exhaling upwards to the area between the waist and the diaphragm, to the belly, and the side body, and connecting with the water element, connecting with the flow of perception. What is it to perceive? Connecting with the feelings, the flow of feelings like water. Connecting with the unconscious, the flow of the unconscious. Connecting with the intuition, the wisdom of the intuition. Feeling the belly rise and fall. Allowing the water element to surround you, filling the belly, saturating the body. Feeling the capacity to flow and take whatever form is necessary. With a big inhalation, drawing the energy upwards from the diaphragm up to the throat and connecting with the air element. Feeling the lungs and the breath. Maybe audibly exhaling out of the mouth. Connecting with the wind, movement. Connecting with intelligence. Connecting with the ability to hear. And for a moment, observing any sounds around you. Feeling the capacity to discern between one thing and another. To use the intelligence to observe the world, to observe ourselves. Taking some very deep breaths and feeling the whole body. Feeling the lungs and the heart. With a big inhalation, exhaling upwards and feeling from the throat all the way to the top of the head, connecting with the fire element. Feeling willpower. The capacity for transformation, for joy, for the spark of inspiration. Feeling the heat around the head. Feeling the expansiveness. With a couple deep inhalations and exhalations, expanding all of those elements out, allowing them to intermix and blend in this field of energy around the body. Inviting them to become balanced, in a dynamic equilibrium. Inviting awareness throughout the day of the way that the elements are expressing themselves. And with a couple deep breaths, drawing all the attention back into the heart. Into the center of the chest. Bringing your hands to the center of the chest, bowing the head in respect and reverence for this one precious life. May all beings be happy. May all beings be content. May all beings know purpose, clarity. May all beings be free. As you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room, wherever you are. So I hope that practice was valuable to all of you. I know it's a bit more of a dynamic practice. In the future, I might, as we post these, we have a calendar going up this week, post the nature or the type of practice we'll be doing, because maybe one type will appeal to you more than another. You know, some of the Zen practices are very still. There's not all this movement and elements and what have you. I think it's good to both do practices for cultivation and also practices to cultivate emptiness and stillness. So we'll kind of go back and forth and maybe have a little better idea going forward what we'll be sharing. And some practices are more advanced and some are a little better for somebody just kind of beginning out with meditation. So we'll be sharing those. And I, of course, understand if you need to start your day, so feel free to do so. If anybody has any questions, then please unmute yourself, and I'm happy to answer some questions. And after that, I'm going to share just a couple short things about some things related to living tea. So either thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have an incredible, beautiful, expansive, connected day. Or if you have any questions, I'll open it up for a minute or two now for you to ask if you'd like. I take it as a good sign if nobody has any questions. So I wanted to just share a couple things about living tea. We're planning to open the tea house in May, which is really exciting for us. We've basically been unable to open for the past year. And right now it looks like in July or August, the details are not final yet. We're going to do a tea and qigong retreat. Oh, it looks like somebody's trying to ask a question and it needs to be unmuted. Let me do that. I don't know how to do that, so maybe. Okay. Jade, try asking a question now and maybe you'll be able to. All right.